Take a deep breath. Doesn't that feel better? Sometimes when you get stuck in frantic work mode, you just need to take a step back and decompress to get some perspective. But that's easier said than done when your office is next to your bedroom and your to-do list is in the palm of your hand. I had a reality check recently when my new house flooded in the cyclones that hit my hometown. Twice. And as I tried to vacuum up an inch of muddy water, I started thinking about the pace of working hard and the way a busy remote job can influence the way we feel and function in our own home. So this week, I checked in on what the latest research says about mental health and working remotely. And yes, I'm glad I did, because who's writing this stuff? It's episode 26 of Out of Office, the weekly web series that garnishes your remote work news with flavor, fun, and fascinating insights. So I hope you're hungry. This week, I'm exploring an interesting conceptual study on the psychological benefits of commuting. Yes, rewind the tape. I said benefits of commuting. This study was based on what a few journalists reported during COVID. People said they actually missed the hour-long commute to work every day. I mean, clearly not people who lived in LA or Tokyo, but as unlikely as that sounds, the study insists that commuting allows time for something called liminal space, which is a kind of life purgatory that exists between work and home. So all that time spent commuting has trained people's brains that that's when it's time to switch modes, and that's good for your mental health. Apparently it's a huge stress buster. So let's just put aside for a second all the studies that have proven how much people hate commuting and the mountain of evidence that has shown how positive remote work is for mental health overall. I think the people who did this study are onto something, and they just didn't dig deep enough to get to the real root cause. So let's do that now. Back in the 60s, when office buildings became a thing, right? Don Draper was still a madman, still leaving his wife at home in their kitchen every day. And because email didn't exist, work and home were still very different places. And the only way he could bring work home was in a suitcase. Fast forward a couple of decades when I moved to New York City, I lost count of the number of people who told me not to get an apartment in Midtown because they said I would just never leave the office. It seemed somehow we all kind of recognized that closeness to the office was something that would lead to more work, not less. And you can really see that in Silicon Valley by design. I mean, those companies have spent millions making workplaces more like home, with cooked dinners and on-site gyms and better snacks than your own fridge. I mean, why would you ever want to leave? So if changing workplaces to feel more like home leads to more work, what happens now that our homes are changing to become more like workplaces? How do you make that switch from work mode to home mode when they're the same thing? And let's be honest, when you set your own hours, you can end up working a lot. On weekends, on public holidays, I mean, heck, I could take off any day I like in this job, and yet somehow I've chosen not to take a public holiday off in years. And it's my choice. But bringing back the commute is a really lazy solution. It might be the way most of us used to create liminal space back before we worked remotely, but it's hardly the only way, let alone the best one. We just have to figure out how to create liminal space without commuting to an office. And as you probably know by now, my biggest pet peeve is the lie that remote work is isolating. I made a whole Twitter account about it. The point is, remote work isn't bad for your mental health, it just has a different operating manual. And while the media loves to portray the lonely, pajama-wearing hermit as the quintessential remote worker, most of us are the exact opposite. So how do super self-disciplined and successful remote workers create intentional habits to manage that separation between work and home? Here are 5 suggestions for how you can create liminal space in your day and give your brain what it needs to actually decompress. Number 1, take breaks. No, like really take breaks. Robert Posen from MIT's Sloan School of Management says you gotta trash the idea that you must take a set number of breaks in a day. Instead, the most productive way is to find the time period of concentrated work that's possible for you before you get tired or distracted. His book, Extreme Productivity, is a classic that I highly recommend for your list. And secondly, Chris Bailey, author of Hyperfocus, speaks extensively about optimal break time too. And he found that as a rule of thumb, your body needs 20 rest minutes in the day for every 90 minutes that it had spent working. So someone working a typical 9 to 5 is going to need a little under 2 hours to decompress afterwards, which explains how people came to associate it with their commute. One of the nice things though about working remotely is you're not trapped downtown. So instead of all that time having to be one lump sum after dark, you can spread it out. And Use a quick pause to water the garden, walk the dog, or meet a friend for a chat. Next, actively supplement your social time. Remote work isn't less social, it's differently social. I'm gonna say it. It's weird that society expects you to spend so much time with people from work. When you work from home, you can choose who you want to spend time with. Socializing less with your colleagues doesn't turn you into Shrek. You get to spend more time with the people you choose, family, friends, and people in your community. Next, asynchronous communication is a really good habit, right? The price of entry is normalizing non-instant replies. When you're working with someone in a different time zone, of course, you're gonna see an email or a chat from them when you're watching a movie or sitting at the dinner table or putting the kids to bed. You gotta set boundaries for yourself. And that goes both ways. Tell the people that you work with that you don't expect instant replies from them outside working hours either. And empower your team to make judgment calls when you're not online, so the work doesn't slow down while they wait on your reply, unless things all of a sudden will be an emergency. Because newsflash, unless you're a brain surgeon, no one's gonna die. And last but not least, create a routine that you repeat every day to train your brain that work mode is over now, preferably with your phone out of reach though. I mean, some people, they go to the gym. I like to walk my dogs or put on some chill beats and pour a nice G&T. Whatever helps you unwind. And if your home life is too chaotic for something like that, there are apps that can help you hack your brain to switch modes really fast. Like Headspace, Calm, and my personal favorite, Allobud. Some crazy people may need a traffic jam or a crowded subway to create liminal space, but I believe in you. Follow those tips and your mental health will thank you, as will your boss when you come into work every day fresh, balanced, and ready to crush it again. In the spirit of practicing what I preach, I'm starting New Zealand's most famous hike tomorrow. It is seriously beautiful, just wish me luck with the weather. That was hard going, but the weather cleared and it was so worth it. It's never been clearer that the future of work really is out of office.